My boss ignored clear evidence that his friend acted inappropriately toward our intern and warned me not to go down this road because Travis was a close friend. When I told him, "You're either with him or with her," he looked away and said nothing. I quit the next morning. Now, 3 months later, he won't stop calling and begging me to come back. I dedicated 5 years to that organization, 5 years of exerting myself to rectify issues that weren't my responsibility, 5 years as the primary factor in retaining a significant portion of our key clientele. I sought no accolades, merely deference. Yet, his arrival was my reward. He was introduced as if he were the marketing guru. The CEO proclaimed his touch was golden, transforming all endeavors into success. Travis was his name. My immediate intuition, a serpent. He was an old university acquaintance of the CEO, an arrogant consultant with a history of more unsuccessful ventures than triumphs. Still, he was charismatic and boisterous, readily embraced by upper management. For women, his demeanor shifted. Knowing glances in meetings, subtle smirks, prolonged gazes, and persistent remarks such as, "You'd appear even more appealing with a smile," or "Clients surely appreciate working with someone of your appearance." Human resources was absent. Our CEO lauded us as a cohesive unit, which translated to a lack of accountability. Most of us learned to evade him, avoiding solitary moments in the elevator, feigning phone conversations as he passed. However, one day I observed him speaking with Emma, one of our interns, a mere 22-year-old, freshly graduated, embarking on her first professional role. "If you join me for dinner," he proposed, "I assure you, I'll advocate for your internship to become permanent." She chuckled uneasily and virtually fled. I nearly intervened then, but refrained. A week later, I discovered Emma weeping in the restroom, visibly shaken and pallid. He had threatened her with dismissal if she didn't enter his vehicle. She murmured, so I complied. She offered no specifics, nor did she need to. She simply reiterated, "I exerted such effort to reach this point." That was my breaking point. I meticulously recorded every detail: emails, messages, Slack conversations, and screenshots from project platforms illustrating his delegation of errors to junior personnel. I also duplicated Emma's testimony. Subsequently, I confronted the CEO directly. He listened, his fingers interlocked, resembling a stoic figure. Upon my conclusion, he sighed, stating, "Travis is a dear acquaintance. Are you entirely certain you wish to pursue this course?" "Emma is already on this path," I responded. "You must choose a side." He reclined, gazing at the ceiling. "We will compensate the intern," he eventually declared. "But let us not escalate this. It is a sensitive matter." Sensitive indeed. Thus, I tendered my resignation the following morning, but not without making my presence felt. I gathered my portfolio, my client connections, my strategic frameworks, everything I had painstakingly developed, and then initiated 3 phone calls. Before the week concluded, I had interviews scheduled with 3 rival companies. Within 2 weeks, I accepted an offer boasting a 20% higher salary, comprehensive benefits, and a team that, even during the interview phase, demonstrated more esteem than I had ever experienced at my previous employment. I even ensured Emma had a job offer awaiting her upon her graduation. Travis was dismissed within the month, but not before jeopardizing 3 significant contracts. The CEO contacted me 4 times in a single week, leaving voicemails like, "I miss your vitality in the workplace and clients are inquiring about you." One email even proposed, "Should you return now, you will be granted complete autonomy over your own team." I did not respond. I am constructing something novel, something grander, more astute, more formidable. And each time I access my accounts and observe my figures surpassing theirs, I recall his final remark to me in the corridor. "You'd be more attractive if you smiled more." Well, I am smiling now. Latest developments. His attempts persist, as do mine. I sensed matters were about to become significantly more intricate, and my premonition proved accurate. The following morning, I awoke to a deluge of messages from colleagues who had observed Travis causing a disturbance at a restaurant where I was dining with clients. He had appeared intoxicated, vociferously proclaiming I had destroyed his existence before being escorted away by security. While everyone offered immense support, it remained mortifying to have my private turmoil intrude upon my professional sphere in such a manner. I recall being seated at the table, midway through a discussion with a prospective client regarding their rebranding strategy, when I discerned his voice from across the establishment. Initially, I attempted to disregard it, hoping it wasn't the individual I suspected. However, as the volume escalated, my pretense became unsustainable. My client, a woman of middle age named Patricia, raised her eyebrows as Travis's incoherent utterances grew more distinct. My cheeks flushed with mortification as gazes shifted toward the disturbance. The restaurant was an elegant venue, characterized by subdued illumination and pristine white linens, precisely the kind of place where a public spectacle is least desired. I clutched my water glass with such force, I feared it might fracture in my grasp. Travis's face was crimson, his tie askew and undone. He gestured toward me from across the room, inadvertently toppling a wine glass. The deep red liquid diffused across the white tablecloth, resembling blood. Two servers approached him with caution while the manager summoned security. I remained immobile, incapable of movement or speech. As Travis persisted in his outburst, Patricia extended her hand across the table and offered a sympathetic pat. "Do not fret," she murmured. "We have all encountered challenging colleagues." When security, comprising two powerfully built men in dark suits, finally appeared, Travis attempted to resist. He seized a chair, overturning it with a resounding crash that startled everyone in the restaurant. As they compelled him toward the exit, he continued to bellow my name, uttering baseless allegations that resonated through the now quiet dining area. The door eventually closed. My phone chimed as I prepared for the day. An unfamiliar number. I nearly ignored it, but an intuition prompted me to answer. It was law enforcement. Travis, I learned, had been granted bail that morning. The officer cautioned me to remain watchful and record any communication. The officer's tone was factual and professional, yet an underlying current of apprehension caused my stomach to knot. "Your address has been flagged in our system," he clarified. "Any calls from your location will receive priority response." I expressed my gratitude, my fingers quivering slightly as I ended the call. I gazed at my wardrobe, abruptly reconsidering my attire. The crimson blouse I had chosen appeared excessively vibrant, too conspicuous. I opted for a subdued gray sweater instead, something that would not attract notice. As I pulled it over my head, I caught my reflection, dark circles beneath my eyes from another sleepless night, my complexion paler than usual. I resembled someone being pursued. I promptly contacted Emma to alert her. When she did not answer, I left a message and texted, "Travis released on bail. Exercise caution. Call me." I attempted her number thrice more while preparing, each call diverting directly to voicemail. My apprehension intensified with every unanswered ring. What if he had already located her? What if he was currently waiting outside her dwelling? I recalled her diminutive and fragile appearance that day in the restroom, tears streaming down her face. The recollection fortified my determination. I would not permit him to harm her again. I retrieved my pepper spray from my bedside drawer and discreetly placed it into my handbag before departing. The commute to work felt altered that morning. I incessantly checked my rearview mirror, examining every vehicle that remained behind me for more than a few blocks. A crimson sedan 3 cars back caused my heart rate to surge until it exited at a fuel station. The customary route I had traversed hundreds of times now seemed perilous, vulnerable. Every traffic signal presented an occasion for someone to approach alongside me. Every parking structure was replete with obscure recesses where an individual could be lurking. Upon arriving at work, Diane immediately summoned me to her office. I anticipated her annoyance regarding the restaurant incident, but instead, she pushed a folder across her desk. "Security footage from last week," she stated, "the night you reported someone attempting your office door." Diane, my new supervisor, was firm yet equitable, with close-cropped silver hair and spectacles consistently suspended from a chain around her neck. Her office was impeccably organized, every item in its designated spot, a stark juxtaposition to the disorder that had infiltrated my existence. The leather chair groaned as I took my seat, the folder substantial in my hands. My fingers paused at its edge, suddenly apprehensive of its contents. I opened it. Inside were pixelated printouts from the building's surveillance cameras. One depicted Travis gaining entry through a side door that should have been secured. Another showed him attempting to open my office door. A third revealed him departing 15 minutes later. The images, particularly the one showing him at my office door, sent a shiver down my spine. In the initial photograph, Travis gazed directly at the camera, a faint smirk on his countenance, as if aware of the recording and unconcerned. His self-assurance was unnerving. The second image displayed him at my office door, his hand on the handle, his body pressed against the door as he endeavored to force it open. What might have transpired had the door been unsecured, had I been working late that evening? The third image captured him departing, something concealed beneath his arm that was absent upon his arrival. The timestamp in the corner indicated 11:47 p.m., nearly midnight. What ordinary individual enters an office building at such an hour? Why wasn't this intercepted by security earlier? I inquired. Diane sighed. The guard on duty that night did not review the cameras until this morning, after I specifically requested it. He has been dismissed. I felt unwell. Travis had been inside our premises. What was his activity for 15 minutes after attempting my door? The inquiry lingered in the atmosphere between us. Diane's countenance was severe, her lips compressed into a narrow line. She possessed no response, and somehow, that was more unsettling than any conjecture. The uncertainty, the myriad possibilities. I recalled the configuration of our floor. My office was situated near the server room, adjacent to the supply closet housing spare laptops and equipment, and close to the filing cabinets containing client data. My query was answered around midday. Our entire email system ceased functioning, followed by the shared drives, and then our client management software. It was determined that malicious software had been installed on our network. It had remained inactive until today, when it activated and began corrupting files. The office rapidly devolved into pandemonium. Phones rang incessantly as clients contacted us to report their inability to access their accounts. The IT team hurried from workstation to workstation, their expressions growing progressively more worried. Printers ejected arbitrary pages of code, screens froze, or displayed error messages in vivid red text. The usual murmur of productivity was supplanted by exasperated sighs and anxious discussions. I remained at my desk, observing the unfolding chaos, fully aware of the culprit. Our IT director, a slender individual named Marcus with thick spectacles and perpetually untidy hair, paused at my desk around 2 p.m. His face was ashen, his demeanor somber. "Whatever this is," he murmured, "it's sophisticated, professional grade, not something an amateur could accomplish." I nodded, unsurprised. Travis, despite his numerous flaws, was not unintelligent, and he possessed the financial means to employ someone with the expertise he lacked. By late afternoon, Marcus delivered further news, none of it favorable. The malware was targeting specific files he elucidated at the emergency management meeting, client rosters, financial records, and, he paused, looking directly at me, "Your personal files specifically." My stomach sank. Every email I had dispatched or received, every document I had authored, every presentation, all potentially compromised. That evening, Emma eventually returned my call. "Apologies for missing your call. I was in class. Travis actually got bail." "Yes," I confirmed, rubbing my eyes. "And I suspect he compromised my company's systems before his apprehension." Emma was silent for a moment. "He appeared at my campus again today. Just stood outside the library, staring at me. I contacted campus security, but he had departed by the time they arrived." My blood chilled. "He is in breach of the restraining order. Did you notify the police?" I could discern the apprehension in her voice, barely suppressed beneath a feigned composure. She recounted how she had observed him from within the library, simply standing on the pathway, hands in his pockets, observing the entrance. "I concealed myself behind a bookshelf," she stated. "Waited 20 minutes before looking again. He remained in precisely the same posture, like a statue." The image was unsettling. Travis's immobility, his composure, his resolve. This was no longer an individual acting impulsively. This was deliberate. When I returned home that night, my apartment door was slightly ajar. I froze, my hand on my pepper spray. I slowly retreated and contacted the police. They arrived promptly, searched my apartment, and found no one inside. However, items had been displaced, drawers left open, my laptop was missing, and on my bedroom mirror, inscribed in what appeared to be lipstick, were the words, "I know everything about you." The lipstick was my own, a crimson hue I seldom used, reserved for significant events. He had discovered it in my bathroom drawer and employed it to convey his message. The sight of my personal cosmetic utilized against me evoked a sense of violation difficult to express. The officers photographed the scene, dusted for fingerprints, and questioned me about missing items. Yet, all I could concentrate on was that message on the mirror, the letters slightly smudged but entirely readable. My bedroom, my most intimate sanctuary, had been breached. The sheets on my bed were disarranged, as if someone had been seated there, or worse. I could not remain there. I packed a bag and checked into a hotel, then contacted Diane to inform her of the events. "Good heavens," she exclaimed. "This individual is deranged. Where are you presently?" I informed her of my hotel location. She insisted I reside with her instead. "My husband is away, and I have a guest room. It is more secure than a hotel, where anyone can locate you." I was too fatigued to object, so I accepted her offer. I checked out and proceeded to Diane's residence within a gated community. The security guard at the entrance to Diane's neighborhood meticulously verified my identification before granting me passage. The streets were tranquil, bordered by substantial homes set back from the thoroughfare, each boasting meticulously maintained lawns and security systems. Diane's house was situated at the end of a cul-de-sac, a two-story brick dwelling with inviting yellow light emanating from its windows. It appeared secure, ordinary, the antithesis of my current reality. Inside, Diane guided me to the guest room, a serene area with light blue walls and a spacious, inviting bed. "The bathroom is through there," she indicated, pointing to a door. "Fresh towels are in the cabinet. Feel free to use anything in the kitchen." Her compassion almost overwhelmed me. I had been operating on adrenaline throughout the day, and now, in this secure environment, I felt my defenses falter, my eyes welling with tears that I swiftly suppressed. Diane feigned unawareness, allowing me a moment to regain my composure. "Thank you," I managed to utter, "for everything." She gently squeezed my shoulder. "Get some rest. Things will appear clearer in the morning." However, sleep eluded me. Each time I closed my eyes, I envisioned that message on my mirror. I continuously imagined Travis in my apartment, handling my possessions, seated on my bed, strategizing his next action. Around 3 a.m., I conceded and descended to prepare tea. The kitchen was dark, save for the faint illumination above the stove. I moved silently, careful not to disturb Diane. As the kettle warmed, I gazed out the window at the tranquil neighborhood, contemplating how my life had so drastically deteriorated in mere weeks. The following morning, Richard telephoned. This time, I answered. "What do you desire?" I inquired. "We need to converse," he stated, regarding Travis. "There is nothing to discuss," I countered. "He forcibly entered my residence last night. He is pursuing Emma. He compromised my company's systems. He is beyond restraint." Richard sighed. "That is why I am calling. He is leveling accusations against you, serious ones. Claims you fabricated evidence against him, that you enticed him, and then alleged harassment when he spurned you." I nearly gasped. "That is preposterous. You are aware that is untrue." "I know," Richard conceded. "But he is disseminating this to everyone willing to listen, including our board members, and he is threatening legal action against the company for unjust dismissal." Richard's voice possessed that polished, rehearsed quality I remembered from client presentations, the tone he employed when attempting to control a situation spiraling out of his grasp. I could envision him in his office, likely clad in one of his costly custom suits, phone pressed to one ear, while his other hand idly manipulated his Mont Blanc pen. Always the embodiment of corporate achievement, even as everything around him disintegrated. Now I comprehended why Richard had been calling so frequently. He was not attempting to win me back. He was endeavoring to protect himself. "What do you require of me?" I inquired. "A formal statement," he replied, clarifying the events. "I already provided one when I resigned," I reminded him. "You opted not to act upon it." "Matters are different now," he asserted. "The board is involved. There is discussion of an independent inquiry." I laughed sardonically. "Now you desire an investigation, when it may impact your employment, not when an intern was sexually harassed." "Please," Richard pleaded, his voice lowering. "I am attempting to rectify this." "No," I countered. "You are attempting to preserve yourself." Too late. I ended the call and promptly contacted my attorney. She counseled me to disregard Richard for the time being and concentrate on meticulously recording Travis's escalating conduct. My attorney, Melissa, was a pragmatic woman in her 50s, specializing in workplace harassment litigation. I had discovered her through a professional women's network, and from our initial meeting, I recognized she was precisely what I required. Someone who would not be intimidated or swayed by corporate machinations. "Forward me all correspondence from Richard," she instructed. "Do not delete anything, and maintain a comprehensive log of every incident involving Travis. Times, dates, witnesses, police report numbers." Around midday, an anonymous number sent me a text message. "Check your email." I disregarded it, but my phone instantly rang again from the same number. "Hello," I answered guardedly. "It's me," Travis stated. My heart ceased beating. "Did you check your email yet?" His voice sent a surge of dread through me, so potent I almost dropped the phone. It was the first time I had heard it since the restaurant incident. Smooth and controlled, not the slurred shouting from that night. Somehow, this composed version of Travis was even more terrifying. I could discern ambient noise, perhaps traffic. Was he in a vehicle, shadowing someone, or me? I terminated the call and blocked the number. Then, with trembling hands, I accessed my personal email. There was a message from an undisclosed address, with the subject line, "Your private life." Enclosed were photographs. Me entering Diane's residence, me at the grocery store yesterday, me conversing with the police outside my apartment, and most unsettlingly, screenshots of my text exchanges with Emma. The message beneath the photos read, "I possess access to everything, your texts, your emails, your location. Desist, or I will disseminate all your private information online, commencing with your young intern friend's statement regarding the events in my car. The photographs were of high quality, evidently taken with a proficient camera and a zoom lens. In one, I was exiting my vehicle in Diane's driveway, my overnight bag slung over my shoulder, my face clearly visible, appearing fatigued and anxious. In another, I was selecting produce at the grocery store, examining an apple with intense focus, a moment so ordinary, yet unsettling to see captured by an observer. The most recent was from mere hours prior, me standing on the sidewalk outside my apartment building, conversing with two police officers, my arms wrapped around myself protectively. I felt nauseous. How had he obtained my texts, my location? Then I recalled my missing laptop and my phone. Had he somehow compromised those as well? I immediately telephoned Emma. Change your phone number, I instructed her, and your email password. Travis has somehow been accessing our messages. What? She sounded distressed. How? I do not know, I admitted. But he is threatening to release your statement online. Emma was silent for a prolonged period. Let him, she finally stated, her voice more resolute than I anticipated. I am not ashamed of what transpired. He should be. I was astonished by her fortitude. Are you certain? It could become complicated. I am certain, she affirmed. I am weary of concealing myself, of being frightened. Let him do his worst. Her courage humbled me. This young woman, who had already endured so much, was refusing to be further intimidated. I reflected on how Travis had specifically targeted her because she was young, new, and vulnerable, and how mistaken he had been about her inherent strength. I forwarded the email to my attorney and the police, then proceeded to the Apple store to acquire a new phone. The store was bustling with individuals examining the latest gadgets, conversing with blue-shirt employees, and waiting at the Genius Bar, ordinary people with everyday concerns. I felt as though I was traversing their world, but no longer a part of it. The technician who assisted me was young, likely Emma's age. He furrowed his brow when I explained my need to completely replace my phone due to security issues. We can perform a factory reset, he suggested. I shook my head. Insufficient. I require a new device, a new number, everything fresh. Something in my demeanor must have communicated the gravity of the circumstances, as he ceased his inquiries and promptly facilitated the exchange. That evening, Diane and I were consuming takeout when her doorbell chimed. She consulted the security camera on her phone. It is a delivery person, she stated, rising. I am not anticipating anything, however. I interjected. Wait, allow me to see. I examined her phone. The individual wore a delivery uniform and held a package, yet something appeared amiss. He was positioned at an angle, his face partially obscured from the camera. Do not answer it, I advised. The compact display revealed a man in a brown uniform, his cap pulled low over his face, holding what resembled a standard package. Yet, his posture was incorrect, tense, vigilant, not the relaxed demeanor of someone completing their 50th delivery of the day. And the package displayed no visible shipping label, as far as I could discern. My instincts shrieked, peril. The doorbell chimed again, then someone began to hammer on the door. Open up, Travis's voice commanded. I know you are inside. His voice, previously controlled on the phone, had now completely transformed. It was wild, desperate. The pounding persisted, each impact causing the substantial wooden door to vibrate in its frame. Diane and I exchanged terrified glances. How had he located me here? The gated community was presumed to be secure. Had he pursued me, bribed the security guard, or had he been monitoring my phone all along? Diane seized her phone and dialed 911 while I extinguished the lights. We retreated from the windows. Police, Diane stated into the phone. There is a man attempting to force entry into my residence. He is breaching a restraining order. The pounding persisted. Then we heard glass shatter. Travis had broken a side window. The sound of fracturing glass startled us both. It emanated from the direction of the kitchen, a window adjacent to the back door. We heard the crunch of glass beneath shoes, then the sound of the back door being unlocked from the interior. Travis is inside the house. He is breaking in. Diane whispered urgently into the phone. Please hasten. I surveyed my surroundings for an object to defend ourselves. I seized a substantial lamp. Diane located a baseball bat in her hallway closet. We heard Travis stumbling through the front room, overturning objects. Where are you? He called out. Come out, wherever you are. His voice possessed a sing-song quality that was profoundly disquieting. We could hear him moving through the house, opening doors, searching rooms. Something crashed to the floor, likely one of Diane's ornamental vases. Each sound made us recoil. The 911 operator remained on the line, her voice a faint, distant sound from Diane's phone, instructing us to remain concealed, that officers were en route. We had barricaded ourselves in Diane's bedroom. The 911 operator continued to inform us that police were 3 minutes away. You destroyed everything. Travis bellowed, his voice now closer. My career, my standing, and for what? That young intern was soliciting it. Fury surged within me. This man had terrorized Emma, forcibly entered my apartment, compromised my company, and now he was in Diane's home, still attributing blame to everyone but himself. His footsteps were now directly outside the door, ponderous and intentional. The doorknob rattled as he attempted it, finding it secured. There was a moment of quiet, then a soft chuckle that sent shivers down my spine. He tried the bedroom door handle, found it locked, and began to kick the door. Travis, I shouted. The police are approaching. You must depart now. Not until we converse, he yelled, kicking with greater force. The door frame began to splinter, each impact causing the door to vibrate. Small fissures appeared in the frame. Diane and I positioned ourselves on either side of the door, weapons poised. Should he breach it, we would be prepared. I could discern sirens in the distance, but they still sounded remote, too distant. The door would not withstand much longer. The wood surrounding the lock began to fragment, small pieces scattering onto the carpet with each blow. The door burst open. Travis stumbled inside, his eyes bloodshot, wild, and disheveled. He held a bottle in one hand. He had clearly been consuming alcohol again. There you are, he slurred, fixing his gaze on me. The one who destroyed my existence. His eyes were bloodshot, his delivery uniform wrinkled and soiled. His cap was absent, revealing hair matted with perspiration. The bottle in his hand contained costly whiskey, half empty. He swayed slightly, but his stare was fixed and filled with animosity. He lunged forward. I swung the lamp. It struck his shoulder, causing him to stumble sideways. Diane raised the bat, but before she could swing, Travis seized her arm. The lampshade detached when I struck him, the bare bulb shattering against his shoulder. He grunted in discomfort but swiftly recovered, grabbing Diane's arm as she attempted to swing the bat. She cried out as he twisted her wrist, compelling her to release the weapon. It clattered to the floor, rolling beneath the bed. I struck him again with the fractured lamp. He released Diane and turned his fury upon me. He clutched my throat and propelled me against the wall. I should have done this long ago, he growled. His fingers burrowed into my throat, constricting my breath. His face was mere inches from mine, his breath reeking of alcohol. Dark specks danced at the periphery of my vision. I clawed at his hands, striving to break his hold, but he was too powerful. Diane swung the bat. It connected with Travis's back. He grunted in pain, but did not release me. I could not breathe. Spots flickered in my vision. Then, abruptly, Travis was pulled backward. He fell to the floor, and I saw police officers standing over him. They had arrived just in time. The sudden alleviation of pressure on my throat caused me to gasp, desperately inhaling air. I slid down the wall, my legs too weak to support me. One officer was atop Travis, forcing his hands behind his back, while another assisted Diane. A third knelt beside me, inquiring if I required medical attention. I shook my head, still unable to speak, my throat burning with each breath. They handcuffed Travis as he bellowed obscenities and threats. This is not over, he continued to yell as they dragged him out. I will get both of you. I sat on the floor, gasping for breath. Diane knelt beside me, asking if I was all right. I nodded, though my throat felt constricted. The police recorded our statements. This time, they assured us Travis would not easily obtain bail, forced entry, assault, violation of a restraining order. He would be detained until trial. After their departure, Diane and I remained in her kitchen, still trembling. I am so apologetic, I stated. I never intended to bring this to your residence. She shook her head. This is not your fault. It is solely his. My phone chimed, Richard once more. I decided I might as well answer. What now? I inquired. Travis was just apprehended again, he stated. At your supervisor's house? Yes, I confirmed. He forcibly entered and attempted to choke me. Richard was silent for a moment. Good heavens, he finally uttered. I had no conception it had escalated to this extent. What did you imagine was transpiring? I questioned. That I was fabricating everything? That Emma was being untruthful? That the restraining orders were merely for amusement? No, he trailed off. Look, the board wishes to convene with you and Emma, should she be amenable. They have reviewed the evidence you gathered. They wish to apologize. I chuckled, a touch late for that. There is more, Richard added. Travis apparently misappropriated company funds before his departure, nearly $100,000. The board just uncovered it during the investigation. That clarified how Travis had sustained himself without employment, and potentially how he had financed any technical assistance he acquired to compromise my systems. So now you are concerned? I stated. Now that he has pilfered from you? I acknowledge I mishandled this entirely, Richard conceded. I should have heeded you from the outset. Regarding Travis, regarding Emma, everything. Yes, I concurred. You should have. Will you meet with the board? He inquired. Please. They are prepared to extend a settlement to both you and Emma. I will consult with Emma and my attorney, but I am not making any commitments. After ending the call, I informed Diane of the conversation. She appeared contemplative. You know, she remarked, if your former company presents a reasonable settlement, you could utilize it to establish your own firm, become your own proprietor. The notion was enticing, highly enticing. But first, I needed to ensure Travis remained incarcerated this time. The following day, Emma and I met with the detective managing Travis's case. They had searched his apartment and unearthed unsettling evidence. A wall adorned with photographs of me, a meticulous itinerary of my movements, notes concerning Diane, Emma, and even my parents, who resided in a different state. He was planning something significant, the detective stated. Based on his notes, he intended to attempt your abduction this weekend. I felt a chill permeate my entire being. Had he not lost control and arrived at Diane's house prematurely, we also discovered evidence linking him to the compromise at your company, the detective continued, and the forced entry into your apartment. He will not be released anytime soon. Later that week, Emma and I convened with the board of directors of my former company. Richard appeared uneasy as we entered the conference room. The board chair, an older woman named Meredith, commenced with an apology. What transpired to both of you was indefensible, she stated, and our company's reaction was equally indefensible. She slid folders across the table to each of us. Inside were settlement proposals, exceedingly generous ones, along with signed declarations acknowledging the company's failure to address sexual harassment and fostering a hostile work environment. My attorney, who was present, raised her eyebrows at the figures. This is a promising beginning, she commented. But given the gravity of the events and the ongoing distress my clients have endured, we will need to discuss modifications. The negotiations extended for hours. By their conclusion, Emma and I both possessed settlements that would comfortably establish us. Emma could complete her education without financial concern, and I could launch my own agency, precisely as Diane had proposed. As we departed, Richard attempted to speak with me privately. I am genuinely apologetic, he stated. I was oblivious, foolish. I regarded him for a prolonged moment. Yes, I concurred. You were, and it nearly cost me everything. His expression saddened. Is there anything I can do to rectify this? Just one thing, I replied. When Travis faces trial, provide testimony. Disclose the truth about what you knew and when you knew it. Cease protecting him. Richard nodded slowly. I will. I promise. That evening, I dined with Diane to express my gratitude for everything. I am going to establish my own agency, I informed her. The settlement provides me with sufficient capital to commence. She smiled. I suspected you might. That is why I wish to extend an offer to you first. What kind of offer? Partnership, she stated. Here at Apex, equal stake. Your name on the door beside mine. I was astonished. Are you serious? Completely, she affirmed. You are the finest in the industry. I would prefer to have you with me than competing against me. It was enticing, very enticing. Collaborating with Diane had been remarkable. But after all that had transpired, I required a fresh beginning, something entirely my own. I am honored, I stated. Truly. But I believe I need to undertake this independently. She nodded, comprehending. The offer remains open, and in the interim, perhaps we can collaborate on projects, be allies instead of rivals. I would appreciate that, I responded. 2 weeks subsequent, Travis's trial date was established. The prosecutor possessed a wealth of evidence. The forced entry, the assault, the harassment, the system compromise, the misappropriation from my former company. He was confronting a substantial prison term. Then, a week prior to the trial, I received a call from the prosecutor. Travis wishes to reach an agreement, she stated. What kind of arrangement? I inquired, instantly suspicious. He will plead guilty to all charges if his sentence is limited to 10 years, she clarified. With good behavior, he could be released in 7 years. It seemed simultaneously too lengthy and insufficient. What is your opinion? I asked. Honestly, it is a favorable deal for us, she responded. Trials are unpredictable. With a plea, we secure a guaranteed conviction, and 10 years is substantial. I discussed it with Emma, my attorney, and Diane. Everyone concurred that the plea was the most secure option, guaranteed punishment without the ordeal of testifying. So, I consented. At the sentencing hearing, the judge permitted victim impact statements. Emma proceeded first, describing how Travis had altered her life, rendering her apprehensive and distrustful, yet also more resilient. When my turn arrived, I gazed directly at Travis as I spoke. You believed you could shatter me, I stated. You believed you were potent, but observe us now. I am constructing something novel, something superior, and you are destined for incarceration. Travis glared at me throughout my declaration. When the judge inquired if he wished to speak, he rose. She is fabricating, he asserted, gesturing toward me. They both are. They entrapped me. This entire situation is a conspiracy. The judge interrupted him. Mr. Travis, I have reviewed all the evidence. The photographs in your apartment, the notes detailing your intentions to abduct Miss Narrator, the malicious software on your computer corresponding to what was utilized in the Apex marketing compromise, your fingerprints in her apartment, the surveillance footage of you forcibly entering her office building, your previous arrest record, the testimony from multiple witnesses regarding your conduct toward women in the workplace. Travis attempted to interject, but the judge persisted. The evidence against you is irrefutable. Your persistent denial demonstrates a troubling absence of contrition or comprehension regarding the severity of your actions. The judge condemned him to the entire 10 years, with supplementary stipulations for therapy and supervision upon his release. Outside the courthouse, reporters were present, awaiting statements. However, Emma and I declined. This was not about public exposure. It was about resolution. Richard was also present, lingering away from the throng. He had testified as promised, acknowledging he had disregarded warning signs concerning Travis, and that he had prioritized camaraderie over employee well-being. His testimony had contributed to securing the plea agreement. He approached cautiously. Is it concluded now? He inquired. I pondered. Was it concluded? Travis was headed to prison. My new venture was flourishing. Emma was prospering in her new academic environment. In many respects, yes, it was concluded. But the experience had transformed us all, rendering us more circumspect, more cognizant of the malevolence that can lurk behind charisma and qualifications. As concluded as it can be, I finally responded. As Richard departed, Emma joined me. Ready to leave? She inquired. I cast one final glance at the courthouse. Travis was somewhere within, being processed for transfer to prison. For years, I would be able to consult a website and ascertain his precise location, behind bars, away from us. Yes, I stated. I am ready. We walked away together, toward our vehicles, toward our futures. The apprehension had not entirely vanished. I still checked my rearview mirror more than necessary, still startled at unexpected sounds, still maintained the privacy of my new address. But for the first time in months, I felt capable of breathing freely again, capable of planning beyond a single day, capable of constructing something enduring without constantly looking over my shoulder. Travis had attempted to annihilate me, but ultimately, he only rendered me more resilient, more resolute, more prosperous. And as I drove away from the courthouse that day, I finally permitted myself a genuine smile. Not for him, not for any observer,